you then have the power in how you relate to your trauma. You become the responsible one in how you look at the lens of where you experience your trauma, and you say, I'm going to use what occurred in my life as the most empowering thing to propel me forward. It's kind of like your ammunition. My healing journey has not been anywhere close to linear, which I really hope yours hasn't been either. Healing is a beautiful journey of ins and outs and ups and downs and loop-de-loops of sorts. And that is because from 0 to 7, we are in that imprint stage of our life. If you look at Massey's developmental stages, there's so much that's happening where we're imprinted on. When we come into this world, we're like sponges. We take in everything. We are absolutely sensitive and empathetic to our surroundings, our environment, our parents, the people, and the way in which society is run at that time. And so it is very easy to create different interpretations within our own bodies from that 0 to 7 age. This is where, for a lot of us, we have childhood traumas of sort. And so whether they are smaller triggers from maybe a repetitive thing that someone said to you, like, good girls don't sit like that, or put a smile on your face, or, oh my God, be careful, don't do that, you're not supposed to do that. There are so many different ways in which we can pick up trauma based on how other people perceived us, put their own projections onto us, whether it's from a space of being physically violated within our bodies, whether it is because there has been some mental trauma of sorts, whether we were manipulated, controlled, abused. Trauma falls under a really, really big umbrella. And in my experience, I don't believe that there's anybody on the planet that hasn't experienced some version of trauma. And whether it's something that you came into this world feeling a little lost and broken, or there's a piece of you that started to pick up something along the way. I don't really believe in the trauma Olympics of big traumas and little t traumas. I believe that everybody's trauma is important to look at and to also heal and integrate from. So we can either be defined by our trauma and allow our trauma to be the thing that we circumference our story around. And in some ways, we can get validation for that. We can get a sense of martyrdom for that. We can feel like, well, this has been my lot. And I want to be mindful of noticing, right? If we want to incorporate our story around our trauma and make trauma the centerpiece of our life, or do we want to allow our trauma to be an element of our life, but we are the centerpiece? Because here's the difference between the two. One creates victimhood, and the other one creates empowerment. So let's examine both. When you make trauma the center of your life, you no longer have any power or control. You have now given it up and away to the event, to the circumstance, and the way in which you relate to your life. It's like being in handcuffs and chains saying, but that thing is what made me who I am. And if I didn't have that thing in my life, my disability, my abuser, this bad thing that happened, the circumstances of the way my parents raised me, then I wouldn't have to deal with that. But let's face it, there are a bajillion other people on the planet that can have the same sort of thing that you define your trauma by, and they aren't living in the same context or under the same circumstances as you are. So let's flip to the other side. If everybody experiences trauma, but you don't make that the centerpiece, you make you the centerpiece, trauma is just an element of your life, you then have the power in how you relate to your trauma. You become the responsible one in how you look at the lens of where you experience your trauma, and you say, I'm going to use what occurred in my life as the most empowering thing to propel me forward. It's kind of like your ammunition. And I'm not trying to say it in a violent way. It just becomes this way in which you use that fire, you use that force and energy that may have dragged you through the mud, that may have made you feel shame or guilt or resentment or bitterness or hurt or pain. And you use that lower vibrational energy and you catalyze it into, where does this get to be the most empowering story that I'm here to live from? Now, here's the disclaimer. Whatever happened in your life, whatever trauma that you are experiencing, whatever trauma you're even bringing to mind, it shouldn't have happened. As a survivor, off of my own experience of sexual trauma, rape, and abuse, and being violated, I know that shouldn't have happened to me. And I'm also telling you that shouldn't have happened to you. The way in which your parents showed up and disciplined you by spanking you on your bottom or telling you you were a naughty girl, none of that should have happened. And what can you make of it? Now, I know this might feel heavy. I know that for some people, again, it's really easy to get stuck back into this context of, but it happened to me, it happened to me, it happened to me. And you're telling me like it shouldn't have happened. So then why did it happen? And here's the thing, that is continuing to live in the past. So trauma keeps you on a loop of living in the past. And then you never get to enjoy your present or your future. The gift of being the center and understanding the lens in which you look through with your trauma is you can then start to have empathy for others. You can have empathy for yourself. You can really start to create a movement of change, of evolution, of transformation when you recognize you are the catalyst. So when you take a step outside of the perspective of this all happened to me, and you start recognizing, well, where am I the sovereign creatrix of my life? And this happened for me. Where can you be in ownership and understanding, how did this occur? Now, I'm not saying that many people can step into this place where I'm about to go, and nor do I expect you to. This has been my own journey, and this has been also my own integration. And I'm willing to share it with you from a space of empowering you to reclaim your story. So, as I mentioned, I dealt with a series of physical, sexual assault on my body, abuse on my body, when I was between the ages of 8 and 10 years old. And a lot of my healing journey has obviously been around that, in addition to the trauma of having a narcotic mother growing up who was in and out of rehab from the ages of 8 to 14, needing to be the oldest to raise my siblings, having an emotionally distant dad, feeling emotionally repressed and numb, that I couldn't allow myself to really feel what I needed to feel because I had to have big girl panties on and take care of everybody else. And what I've recognized through my healing journey is that even though those events shouldn't have happened to me, and I could have absolutely had a better childhood without any of those events and circumstances, I wouldn't be who I am today. And trust me, I am very proud and grateful for the human being that I am today. When I think about my vision, when I think about my purpose and what I'm passionate about, it's because I have taken my trauma and I have catalyzed it into my purpose, my drive, my meaning for life. So when I look at the reason why I am a self-love and embodiment coach. It's because I recognize I wasn't clearly in my body when all of that physical violence was happening. I didn't feel safe to speak up and say, something's wrong here. I didn't have the ability to use my voice. Hell, I wasn't even allowing myself to be emotional. How could I use my voice and speak up and say, this is not okay, this is wrong? And so my journey has been, how do I get to empower more women to step into owning their sovereign selves? And that's been through my own healing journey of reclaiming my emotional body by allowing to feel the full expansion and breadth of this wild spectrum of emotions, right? To feel the greatest joy and ecstasy in my life to even the deepest despair and depression. For me, it's been about recognizing that the way in which I want to empower the world is not just through my coaching practice, it's through my nonprofit, Feminine Rising. It's about seeing millions of women across the globe feel the power of them connecting to their bodies, taking up space, owning space. Because let's face it, predators don't attack prey animals that are just as big as them. They don't. In the animal kingdom, predators only go after animals that they know they can take down. And so for any human being that finds that impurity within themselves to take advantage, to manipulate another type of body, is because they think that they have that power dynamic and the ability to do so. Now play with me here, because this is my vision. If all women, if all beings, period, could stand in such an authority of power within themselves, not power over, but power within, would they be fucked with? I don't think so. And there's power in being that sense of grounded, graceful, sturdy, resilient, trusting, and surrendered type of being that allows to go on the journey of life, but knows I have this deep inner peace within me where you can't mess with me. And that to me is unfuckwithable energy. And so where can you take your trauma, the thing that did fuck with you, the thing that did tear you up a little bit, and rebuild yourself back into the enlightened being that you are? Because let's face it, we come into this world when we are pure love and light. And I don't say that to be foo-foo frilly, but we all know that experience of when you hold a baby, you feel that pure, innocent love. And there is just nothing so much more precious than that life right before you. You come into the world that extraordinary, that magnificent. And yes, life can start to beat the hell out of the look in your eyes, the beauty that lives within. And only you can either let it continue to destroy you and eat you alive from the inside out, or to say, I'm going to use this fuel as my fire, as my passion to create something different, to transform into something different, to be the phoenix that rises from the ashes. That, my dear, is being a sovereign creatrix. That, my dear, is being responsible for the life that in which you are creating despite your childhood trauma. And so I want to walk you through a practice. And it's just a simple one. It's just one to get you more acquainted with your body and to just have a deeper conversation with you on the inside, the place within you that didn't get to be seen, didn't get to be heard, didn't get to be loved, that didn't get to be acknowledged. And this is your moment to come inward and within that experience. I want you to just take a moment And find yourself in your space where you can sit, lay down, but allow yourself to just be held in the space. I highly recommend just surrendering. Standing, not so much of a surrender. So let yourself be held by a wall, by the back of a chair, with your whole body on the floor. And just start to notice if you can allow your breath to come in a little bit deeper, feeling that oxygen breathe in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Let yourself maybe make a sigh to soften. Notice with each and every breath if you can feel a little bit more of that expansion within your chest, and that gentle exhale as you can feel your body just soften from underneath you. Let the tears well up if they come. And you're just gently in this moment, whether your eyes are halfway shut, fully closed, or open, just invite your hands across your heart and just start to notice the tender heartbeat from underneath your hands. Connect in with the sound of your heartbeat. Your heartbeat was the first instrument you were ever gifted. Your heartbeat reminds you of your aliveness, even if you feel weak. And just start to notice whatever sensations come up as you tap into feeling your heart. Do you notice a texture, a color, a light, a feeling? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it jagged and edgy? Is it smooth and round? Just start to notice, put a name to this sensation that you're feeling as you wrap your hands around your heart. Step out of your head and just breathe and connect to what can you feel, what can you sense through sight and sound and touch. And just gently allow yourself to just acknowledge what you're witnessing. No need to change it. No need to fix it. Just be in this space of acknowledgement. See you. I'm here for you. I'm witnessing you. And I'm present for you in this moment. And even as you just let those words land, notice if anything shifts. If anything shifts, it's absolutely okay if it doesn't. But let yourself just be in the noticing. Be the present witness to that tender part of yourself that has never had that experience before. And as you take another deep inhale in, feel that gentle exhale as it comes out. And ever so slowly, you're just going to let your hands slip away from your heart as you start to let your arms cross over your body. And you're just going to find a gentle hug, letting one hand grip across your shoulder, your other hand coming right underneath your rib cage. Maybe you feel a gentle sway from side to side if you're sitting. Maybe you just hug your head down into your chest just to feel a little extra squeeze, a little extra close and gentleness. And you're just going to take this moment to whisper to your inner child or to whatever part of you that needs to be heard. I love you. Thank you for letting me witness you. And I will always come back and give you more if you so need it. Thank you. And take another deep inhale in, just feeling yourself receive those words. And then ever so slowly on your exhale, let your fingertips just gently, ever so slowly slip away from your body as you come back into a neutral position. Maybe palms are facing up to receive. And just taking a couple more deep breaths here as you just invite in your body to just start to regulate your breath. Whatever came up for you is totally perfect. And if you can, stay here for a couple more minutes. If you have even more time than that, grab a journal and jot down, what did you experience? What came up for you? What's the new commitment you're making to yourself and how you want to choose to look at life? I invite you to always remember that you have the power to shift your reality. And it's all through the conscious lens in which you see your reality. Are you living from life through the lens of the past or through your possibilities in the future? You decide, you choose in every moment, in the present moment. Many blessings. I would love to know, what did you think of this video? Please comment below, what were your greatest takeaways? What is that golden nugget that sat with you that you are taking out and into the world? Because let's face it, transformation only occurs when you're willing to take action on it. So share below. That will ensure that you have really taken in this wisdom and you're going to amplify it in your life. And of course, if you loved this content, subscribe. And then you can always check your notifications so that you get all content that comes through. Because one of my greatest pleasures is to be able to see this energy being amplified and rippled into the world.